pretend like I wore this sweatshirt on purpose in an ode to the subject of this video, and not that I just threw it on because it's the most comfortable sweatshirt I own. Hey friends, it's Hawk. Today I have a very exciting video, at least I feel like it is. We're going to be diving deep into a very important era of history, and that is the early 2010s, but more specifically, early 2010s on Tumblr. Yes, today I'm going to be reading like a 2010s Tumblr kid. So as a person who was on 2010s Tumblr, I remember seeing a lot of book quotes come up over and over and over again, or a lot of references to books, or a lot of fan casts for certain books, gift sets related to certain books. I saw a lot of mentions of these things that I'm going to be bringing up to you today. But unfortunately back then I didn't read that much. I did read one author who is on this list and who is going to be a reread for me. But yeah, I just didn't read very often, so I didn't pick up all the books that people were talking about back then. But I read a hell of a lot now, so I'm going to finally be catching up on the things that people were talking about in like 2014. First and foremost, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. I have to read him for this video. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It is the king of early 2010s Tumblr, Mr. John Green. People either bullied him to the point of leaving Tumblr, or they just loved him and quoted him all the time. I mean, we had If People Were Rain, I Was Drizzle and She Was a Hurricane. We had I Fell in Love Like I Fall Asleep, Slowly Then All at Once, and we had all the memes that came out of that, like, the range. So for this video, I will be rereading The Fault in Our Stars for the first time in a very long time. I was still in high school when I read this the last time that I read it, so I'm very interested to see if it holds up. I'm very scared to see if it holds up because I loved this book a lot, so we'll see. I'm nervous. The next author was one that I probably saw quoted the most other than John Green, and that would be Rainbow Rowell. I'm going to be reading Fangirl for this video. I considered reading Eleanor and Park because I saw that one a lot, but I don't own it, and I've also heard some things about it that make me feel kind of weird about reading it, so I have decided to read Fangirl. The next book is one that not only did I see often quoted, but I also saw so many aesthetic photo sets, I saw so many gift sets of fan casts of it, but it's The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I know you're probably thinking, how have you not already read this? This is like also a booktube thing, like everybody has read this book. I know, but I'm reading it now, so there you go. I'm eager to read this one. I want to be in the loop about what the fuck is up with this book. I want to not be in danger of spoilers. I'm very happy to be reading this for the first time. And the final book that people would not shut the fuck up about on Tumblr, and including my Tumblr friends who really just bullied me for not reading this book, it is The Foxhole Court. I'm nervous. I don't really know what this is about, and I've heard really mixed things about it. Partially what concerns me is the fact that someone once told me that the best way to read this book is in a fugue state and over the course of like a weekend, so that concerns me as a person. I think it's about like a fake sport. I'm gonna try it and we're gonna just see what happens. I have not a lot of faith, but I will carry on. So those are the books that I'm gonna read. This is Awakening My 14-Year-Old Self, They're Living, I'm just so excited. Okay, so I decided to read Fangirl first because it was the one that I was least looking forward to. And I have to say, I'm about 100 pages in and it is surprisingly not bad. Like, I'm kind of enjoying it. I think it's partially because I connect to Kath a lot. I was a lot like her in high school and in my first year of college. I've grown since then, as I suspect that she will through her first year of college and onward. But yeah, I'm surprised by how much I'm enjoying it. Like, I'm definitely not hating it. Of course, there's like 300 more pages to go, so it could go downhill, but I'm staying positive. It has already pleasantly surprised me, so I will let you guys know when I'm further in, but I just want to let you know that it is good. It's good so far. So first and foremost, let's just acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is that yes, I'm sitting in my closet. There's a lot of noise happening in my house right now, and it's the only really quiet place where you guys are not going to get a million like background things, and as someone who has a very hard time focusing, I thought you might appreciate not hearing all that stuff that's going on. So yes, I'm in the closet. It feels pretty apt with the early 2010s Tumblr theme. Even if the lighting is terrible, which it is, and I apologize, it's atrocious. So I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm about another 100 pages into, I almost called it Carry On, Fangirl, and I am still really liking it. I'm still very surprised by how much I like it. I think a lot of it is just relating to Kath and like understanding where she's coming from. It's like at a 4-star for me right now, which is higher than I thought it was gonna be. For sure. I thought it was going to be 3 stars, and that would be being generous. For the other characters, I'm pretty sure Levi is supposed to be her love interest, which is weird because there were a couple times where she like referred to him as brotherly, and I was like, isn't he supposed to be your love interest? Why would you call him brotherly? It was just weird. I like Levi. I think that if I knew him in real life, I would want to murder him. He is very peppy and very forcing Kath into social situations or like pestering her a lot. That would not go over well with me. I would be much more of a Regan in that situation. Regan is Kath's roommate and she's very funny. She's an asshole, but she's a funny asshole. She's like one of those people that you just like have to laugh at how mean she is. There's also Kath's twin sister, Ren, who I am not really liking. She was kind of like mean about Kath's love for Simon and Baz and was kind of like making fun of her for it, and I don't like that. And she's young, so like I'm trying not to be too hard on her, but that kind of stuff really irritates me. As someone too who like has used fantasy and fiction as escapism, I just don't love when people are judgmental of that sort of thing. Like I try not to judge anyone's hobbies because so much of the world is joyless, and you know, as long as these people aren't hurting anyone, go do whatever you want. But yeah, so Ren, maybe she'll grow on me, maybe she won't, but I feel like right from the get-go, she kind of rubbed me the wrong way, so we'll see. She's kind of mean and in a way that's like different from Regan. I just have an appreciation for people who are mean, but they like never pretend not to be. I'm thinking that maybe the next time I update you is gonna be when I'm done, but if something else happens between them that I feel is noteworthy enough to get its own clip, I will let you know. We're back to quiet, but 2 things. First, I forgot to mention Nick, who sucks, but also is very on brand for English major boys. He is every English major boy. I feel like this book, I still like it, don't get me wrong, but I feel like this book is trying to be hard-hitting or like getting into hard-hitting issues, but it's not doing a very good job. Like I feel like a lot of parts are ableist, like Levi has trouble with reading, and some of the comments that Kath makes just make me cringe because yeah, they're just thoughtless and just not very understanding or empathetic. Just want to also add that these comments were never addressed. And then their dad deals with mental health issues, and some of the language surrounding that is a little dated. I don't think that we understand how much progress that we've made since the early 2010s in terms of like inclusivity and understanding and empathy in language, but I think we have. I'm gonna chalk it up to that mostly, but I will say, yeah, it's just some of the stuff is questionable, but like I said, still really enjoying it. I just wish we could have not leaned into that. Like if it was more leaning into the lighthearted, I would like that better. So it is the next day. I have finished Fangirl, and first and foremost I want to acknowledge, if you've been watching my latest videos, my quarantine videos, and you've been noticing that I only wear 3 shirts, you're not crazy. I do only wear 3 shirts. So am I really about to give this book 5 stars? Am I really about to do that? Because I personally can't believe it. I literally told you guys at the beginning of this that I was reading this one first because it was the one that I had the lowest expectations for. And here we are, giving it 5 stars. Everything that I said before stands. I really like the characters. Even Ren grew on me. I even grew to know that I would like Levi in real life. I liked him in the book the entire way through, but I was like, okay, I would probably get with him too because he is just a very sweet and considerate person and just very warm, and their relationship was just so cute, and the way that like it was dealt with was so cute, and her mental health issues. I do feel like there was too much going on. like with the twins' mom and with Ren's issues, I was just like, there's a lot of subplots. And Ren's boyfriend, I was just like, there doesn't need to be all this. If it was just about Kath's mental health, and I'm giving it 5 stars anyway, so I'm like, this would be better if blah blah blah. So it's like, how seriously can you take my opinion? But yeah, if it was just about like Ren and her father's like mental health, I think that would have been better, and like brief mentions of Ren maybe having issues, but like, I don't know. I clearly don't have that many complaints. It's funny because I was reading it and I was like, this isn't like great literature, which already, like, what does that even mean? I wasn't reading it and was like, this is a masterpiece, like, this is brilliant, that's why I'm giving it 5 stars. I gave it 5 stars because it's the kind of book where even as you read it and you're like, there are a lot of issues with this, it just hits for you. And it hits in a very personal way, and you're like, okay, this is one of my favorite books now. Like I said, I identify a lot with Kath on so many levels, so yeah, I don't know. It was great. Maybe I'll read The Fault in Our Stars next. I do have the audiobook for that, so you'll find out when I next update you. So I decided to start with The Fault in Our Stars. I'm about halfway through now. First and foremost, I just want to say, if you're gonna come in here with your edgy, you know, John Green just bullying, I'm gonna delete the comments. Like, you're fine to say whatever you want on your own platform, but because this is a page that I control, I just don't want to engage with any of that content. Because I know a lot of you know what I'm talking about. The internet's like, their obsession with just beating John Green to death verbally. It is what it is, but I just don't want to endorse it because I have met him and spoken to him on multiple occasions, and I just don't want to host any of it. So all that said, this was a very important book to me in high school, and as I'm reading it, I can see why, because it is very pretentious. It's pretentious in that very obvious, like, John Green style of pretension that he is well known for, I think, at this point. When I was a very pretentious teenager, my mom, I made her read this book, and she said that it reminded her of the way that I talk, which I always thought was funny, because the main complaint that I heard a lot of people give of this book is that teenagers don't talk that way, but I talk that way, and everyone who read it was like, she sounds like you, Gus sounds like you. Like I said, I was a very pretentious teenager. Pretentious adult, but, you know, I was more mean about it when I was a teenager. My initial impressions are that it's mostly, like, boring. I'm just kind of bored, which is sad, because, you know, I obviously want to love it because I loved it when I was younger, but you know, the amount of books that I had read, good books, I guess, was pretty limited at that age, so it makes sense why I would like it. Like I said, I get it. I get it for 16-year-old, 15-year-old me whenever I read it. I get it. Right now, it's just not doing it for me. I think that it's really what it comes down to is just YA contemporaries for me. I just am not a big fan of YA contemporaries. I've also been reading a lot of Goodreads reviews for this, including, like, really, people who hated this book, and like I said, the biggest complaint is that, like, teenagers don't talk about this, it's pretentious, blah 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 blah. But there was this one that was talking about how the teenagers talk in absolutes, like their experience is the only one that's real and the one that matters, and I was like, and that was a criticism of the book, and it just reminds me of why adults who can't remember what it was like to be a teenager shouldn't criticize YA. Does that make sense? Like, it's just, I mean, of course teenagers are gonna think that their personal experience is the only one that exists in the world. Like, if you're 17, that's how you think. I just think it's interesting to see people talk about YA, because I see that with a lot of contemporaries being like, these characters aren't realistic, and then they describe a teenager, and I'm like, I think I'm not far enough removed from being a teenager to be like, this is not how teenagers act. I've never heard a teenager act like that. Like I said, it's boring. Right now it's at about 3 stars for me. I find the Goodreads reviews more interesting than the book, which is probably a bad sign, but whatever. I'll let you guys know when I'm finished. Okay, so I just finished The Fault in Our Stars. 3 stars, I think, is what I'm gonna go with for this one. I have my AirPods in, I look like a douche. I did cry, as I don't know if you can tell from my face or my sniffling, I did cry, but again, I feel like I've made it very clear that that is a measure of nothing except for how much of a little bitch I am, which is extremely high. Yeah, I mean, it was fine. Like, it literally was just fine. It was not groundbreaking. It's not my favorite book anymore, and that's not a surprise to me, but that also doesn't mean that it was less important to me when I was young. Like, it was very, very important to me, as I said, so I don't know, I'm not feeling that bad about it. I thought I would feel sadder that I don't like it as much now, but I don't. And there were some parts in it that I was like, ugh, at, and I did roll my eyes a couple of times, but you know what? It's fine. It was a fine book. I feel like I'm overusing the word fine, but that's literally the best descriptor of my reading experience, so we're just gonna go with that. Now, I think I am going to read the Foxhole Court, or Foxhole. I always say Foxhole. Foxhole Court. My guess is that I'm not gonna love it. I don't want to speak too soon, but I want to save the Raven Boys for last because it's the one that I have the highest hopes for, so then I can just continue the series when I'm done with it, with the first one. So the next time I talk to you, it'll be about the Foxhole Court, and I'm hoping that I have very positive things to say. I started the Foxhole Court, and I'm not seeing what you guys are seeing. What I'm seeing is a bunch of edgelord boys who I can't tell apart because they're all angry. This is like toxic masculinity, the book. I was 15% of the way in, and a gay dude is already talking about forcing himself upon a dude who is presumably straight. And I'm like, what's happening? What's going on? I'm about 35% of the way through now. As usual, I'm gonna give it to a cool 50%, but what, are you guys okay? Because this book, this is not a judgment on anyone who likes this book, obviously. I like books that are questionable. My favorite book, in fact, is deemed extremely questionable by a large majority. So I can't, you know, sit in a place of judgment, but like, this isn't good for me, personally. I'm not enjoying it at all. I don't know. I'm tempted to ask someone who I know likes the book if I should stick it out because I want to like this book. With Fangirl, it surprised me, and I would love for that to happen another time. Yeah, it's not, I don't like it. We'll see. We'll see. I'll let you guys know when I get to 50%, but yeah. Just as of now, it's not really doing it for me. So this book is bad. Like, I'm sorry, that's not a great way to start off. It's not good is the thing about it. And yeah, I mean, I'm 55% of the way through. I think I'm done. I think I'm done, folks, because I really don't like it. The last thing that happens that really made me want to just put it down entirely was the gay man, the openly gay man who has been pretty predatory this entire book, just forced two kisses onto a man who did not want them. So we love when gay men are written as predatory. That is so freaking groundbreaking, revolutionary. We love to see it. No, honestly, I hate that, first and foremost. Also, all the characters, still, I can't tell them apart. None of them are interesting at all. None of their relationships are interesting. None of the background that we were given on Neil, I just don't care. Oh my god, I am like floored by how much I don't care. It's a soap opera, but it's even more annoying because it's just men. Like, there's a few female characters that like just got introduced, and maybe that would make it better, but I don't really care to find out. If we're being honest, I kind of openly just hate it. Like, there's nothing likable about it to me, and I feel like if I'm over halfway through and I have found nothing that redeems it for me, that's a bad sign, right? Like, that's a DNF worthy sign. So I think I am gonna DNF it. I can't bring myself to care at all about any of these people or their relationships to each other. I just think they're all so edgy and angry, and I get that it's like because of trauma, but also I can't tell them apart. Yeah, I don't get it, and I just have to be comfortable in not getting it. I had 5 stars for Fangirl, but I had like 3, I'm gonna say 2.5 stars for The Fault in Our Stars. I'm DNFing this book. Who would have thought that early 2010s Tumblr would let me down like this? Not me, surely. Hopefully we end on a high note and the Raven Boys is everything that I want it to be. I'm praying because this book just put me in some type of a mood. First and foremost, sorry if you can hear my dog's squeaky toy in the background or the TV. Things are happening in this house all the time. Not all of them involve me, tragically. So I am exactly 100 pages into the Raven Boys, and I have pretty much zero impressions so far. I'm intrigued, sure, but I'm also not like very intrigued. I'm not like dying to continue. I don't think that like I'm on the road to DNFing or anything like that. I just don't have any impression of anything so far, which is interesting. I don't really know what to do with that. Like I was expecting to be really drawn in right away, but maybe it doesn't work that way with this series. I don't really know. I try to not like watch videos that talk about it just in case I get spoiled, because it's so easy, because I feel like a lot of people assume everyone has read this series when clearly I have not. So yeah, I mean, that's my impression so far. My impression is that I have no impression. I just wanted to let you guys know that I am reading it and I don't feel anything, so. So I have a note that has nothing to do with anything except my own personal feelings, which is that Blue and Adam need to calm down with this, like, I don't have a lot of money pride thing. I don't have a lot of money. And I can't say that I would deny my friend buying me chips. Like, if my friend was like, my friend who was like significantly richer than me was like, don't worry about it, I got your Lays, I'd be like, a brother, thank you so much. But Adam is acting like he's just punched him in the head and called him a stupid poor hobo. I just don't understand why, because Gansey doesn't strike me as the type to like hold it over his head, so why is Adam acting as though that's what's gonna happen? Adam clearly knows Gansey better than I do, so maybe I shouldn't say that, but he just doesn't strike me that way. I just don't think he's thinking about it, which, I get being annoyed at rich people for being rich, but like, come on, Adam. And Blue, because Blue is doing the exact same thing. I would for sure let Gansey buy me chips. That's my whole take on the Raven boys. I would let Richard Gansey III buy me chips. Okay, friends, so I am over 50% of the way through the Raven boys. I'm leaning more towards liking it a lot more than I was when I last checked in. I'm actually like genuinely enjoying it. I don't love it by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, I'm enjoying it, and I think that I will read the next ones. I've heard that it only gets better, so taking that in consideration, as of right now, I think I will be continuing it. But yeah, I mean, I like the characters. I want to know more about them. I feel, you know, generally happy about it. So that's good. So everyone, it's upside down. I finished the Raven boys. It was good. I think I'll give it 4 stars. I'm pretty sure. That seems like a good rating to me. I really enjoyed like the last 100 pages. I think that, you know, it fell into the curse of a first book in a series, which is just like, you know, building everything up, letting you know what's going on, letting you know all the characters and everything. So I think that's why, you know, I was feeling so tepid towards it. I definitely will be continuing on in the series. Usually I like a duology. Trilogies are on thin ice. 4 books just seems like a lot to me, but I mean, I'll try. I think that the concept is really interesting. I like the dark academia vibes that I get from it. I like the characters, and I definitely want to know more about this plot, I guess, that they're setting up. So I'm interested. I'm pretty sure that the future books set up more about each character, and that is something that I'm interested in. I would like to know more about Ronan, and I feel like Noah, though he was an important plot point, like his personality and such didn't really factor into this book that much, so I'm hoping we learn more about him later. So that is it. Let me do a quick wrap up of the books that I read for this video. The first, obviously, was Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, which I gave 5 stars, loved it a lot. Next was The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I switched this review to 2 stars because I felt so apathetic towards it. I did cry, but again, crying, that's nothing. Like, I cry at everything, so it's not a lot to say that I cried. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt about it, and I feel like that is worth 2 stars to me. Next, I read The Foxhole Court. DNF'd The Foxhole Court because I could not stand to read it anymore. And that was after some due consideration, talking to 2 different people about it, so you know, it is what it is. I'm sorry for people who like The Foxhole Court, but. And then finally, the Raven boys. I have it upside down again. I can't. The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. 4 stars probably. I think that's what I'm gonna go with. That's what my gut is telling me, but I may change my mind later. Who's to say? So that is it. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. This was very fun. A blast from the past, if you will. If you guys have any other books that I missed that were really popular on Tumblr, please let me know, because I don't know. Tumblr culture is interesting, and it continues to be interesting for the few who are on it. Thank you again for joining me for this video. I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye!
And there's something lonesome about you, something so wholesome about you. Get closer to me. No tight sides, no rolling eyes.